Hello, welcome back. I'm Colleen from Twin Flame Disciple. In this video, I want to talk about in the beginning when we're activated, and we are in such a destabilized condition, that's to put it mildly, from the energy that gets put into our body that our human body is not prepared to handle. There are many things going on. It's not this romantic, oh, I received my twin's energy and I was on bliss, because briefly you were. It shoots up, but it passes through areas as it's shooting up. And it's almost like in those areas there was the calcified belief systems and misperceptions on behalf of yourself that you had done through life in order to survive at certain times of your life, especially when you were very, very young. And those calcified bits got blown off and were now loose and having to be dealt with. They were floating to the top. Now, this is if you're going on the belief of the energy, which I can attest to mine. When I received my twin's energy, it was a shock wave that came across a span of distance. I saw it coming. Nothing you can do about it because it's happening in a billionth of a second. But when it hit my system, it went right through and changed every atom in my body, it felt like. And I was left with the fallout. And I was, in that billionth of a second, I was not the person I was a billionth of a second before it. Telling you, you get completely wiped out. What happened was that is an electromagnetic energy force hitting you that is so powerful. We don't understand this on the earth unless you've gone through it, of course. I know what I know about mine and everybody else. From what I've seen through the internet, I have seen that everybody experiences it slightly different levels. Some don't have anything happen at first. They have something happen later after they've left that person. Mine was immediate, as soon as we looked at each other. So this electromagnetic energy comes into you, and it is way more than the body is normally capable of handling. It's kind of like getting hit with lightning. And it goes through, and it's going to do not damage, but it is certainly going to shake up certain areas of your body. And now you've probably known about that it goes through your chakras. And that's one thing, but physically, it affects many parts of your body. This is why when you're going through the integration of that energy and you're having so much coming up, there's more than just the twin flame energy happening. It's your physical body is reacting to something that was not supposed to be there. It's not geared to handle that. And one of the main things is, it's called the vagus nerve. It runs from, the bulk of it is at the base of your neck, but there's tendrils that go up into your brain, little feathers. And then there's two of the nerves run down the base of your spine, both sides, and they meet down at your colon at the base of the spine. And that's your main nervous system that runs up and down your body. And the vagus nerve is called the internet of the body for a good reason, because it talks to your whole body. It talks to the brain, it sends signals to the brain, it talks to every organ that's between here and there, it talks to everything. It's the talker of the body. And as a rule, it's there to give you warnings of things. As say there's a problem with your liver, it'll send signals to the brain that there is something wrong. It's your early warning dangerous, like a little bell going off. Now, it talks to everything, but this is when it's in its normal functioning. They have the medical science world has found ways of stimulating the vagus nerve with mild electric impulses in order to heal parts of the vagus nerve if it's done with low doses. The twin flame energy coming in is by no means a low dose. That takes the vagus nerve and just blows it open. So the vagus nerve, during that time when you're dealing with it, the energy running through your chakras as well, the vagus nerve is sending impulses and signals to the brain that there is things wrong all over your body. It's telling you, it's freaking out. And it's sending these signals saying there's a danger, there's a threat, danger, danger, danger. When your eyes are looking out at the world and saying, no, I'm fine, nothing is different, I feel crazy maybe, but as far as I can see, everything looks the same, and yet my body's in high edge. It's in survival mode. It's on edge like it's never been before, and it's screaming at you, danger, threat, danger, threat. And you can just hear the alarms going off behind it, and you're caught between that. At that stage, so much is coming at you. You've got this coming up, this coming up, this coming up, this coming up. And then you've got your body betraying you, because the vagus nerve is in charge of, with every organ, it's in charge of your security, your safety, your stabilization of the nervous system in its whole. And when it's talking to your brain and telling it that there's threats and stuff, it is so destabilized, and it's desperately seeking to come back to a stabilized position. And meanwhile, you've got the various chakras. I remember passing through each of the chakras that I did. And I feel, only because of my experience, that there's truth to the fact that it's been said that the feminine gets blasted and has to stabilize the bottom chakras, and the masculine goes in and has to stabilize the top. And I believe that's true because of how it affected me. I remember going through about a year or more of stabilizing my root chakra, which is all about, once again, your stabilization, your security, your stability, and your survival mode. It's your root. And if you don't have roots grounded, then you're unstable. You'll have anxiety, fears. I didn't feel I had those before getting blasted, and I didn't really feel the fear part, but the anxiety and the destabilization. I remember one day, I wasn't aware that I was passing through the root chakra energy at that time. I hadn't gotten that far of understanding that, but I remember walking from the kitchen into the living room, and I walked over to the coffee table to pick up the remote. And as I bent over, I had one of those beautiful connections of the mind where I stood right up and I went, whoa, because what I thought was, I'm sorry, honey, it's not you I don't trust, it's myself. I don't feel safe within my own body. And I stood there looking around like, where did that come from? But I had to acknowledge it because it was absolutely true. I hadn't put that connection together in my mind, but once it spoke to me that way, I knew that I did not feel safe in my own body. And I couldn't blame him for my lack of safety. It was me he wasn't in the living room with me, so I can't blame him. At that moment, I felt very unsafe, and my body was telling me, this is your reason for the unsafety. It's because of you. I didn't know at the time about chakras. I didn't know about the vagus nerve. I didn't know that physically and energetically you could have the two going on. And you've got the other chakras, the sacral and the root, the sacral, and the heart. My heart stayed quiet. I was working on the two down below, and boy, did I work on those. But they made the way they spoke to me, it made it easy for me to work on them because they were so in my face. the things it brought up for me, I remember going through the sacral chakra. Oh my God. I lost my passion for about 2.5 years. I've always been creative. I make things. I could not make anything in that time. I had zero creative passion. Nothing. I didn't have passion. I was so focused on surviving, getting oxygen into my body every day and just holding on to the edge and trying to survive. So anyway, I just wanted to let anybody that's passing through this realize that this that's going on with the energy inside you, that is one thing. But there's so many unseen things, like I stumbled upon the vagus nerve information, but there are so many other things that are going on inside of us. I had physical things. I'm going to talk at length about this, but I had vertigo that had been going on since I was in my 20s, actually, periodically. Every now and then, like every couple of years, I'd have a bad bout of it. And then it went away, so I never ever gave it thought. But it was because of the ascension of the energy rising up through, passing through. And if it went fast, it got the better of my body, and I would have to... There was a few times, once at work and multiple times at home, where I had to hit the ground fast because I was going to pass out if I didn't, because it was taking me out. And I just laid down on the floor, got down as low as possible, had deep breaths, and it passed. But my whole world had disappeared during that time. I was inside my body, and it was in some kind of a vacuum. Anyway, there's a lot of physical things that are going on for us, and it's scary because we can't explain it. There isn't anyone to tell us. I scoured the internet, both on YouTube and off, looking for somebody that had the same symptoms as me, and they were just sort of vague. It wasn't exactly like mine, so I thought, well, you're a front runner in another way. Once again, you don't have anyone that walks the same path as you, and frankly, I'm quite tired of walking an independent path where I can't relate to anybody. I'd like to have somebody else provide answers, but I got my answers eventually. I got them from here and here. And it's also quieted down. My nervous system started quieting down about 3 years ago. And it keeps quieting down. There's no proof of anything though. Like, did my vagus nerve, the two of them, heal? And what did they look like when they weren't healed? Actually, I had somebody years ago, a girl I worked with at that big corporation I'm always talking about. She was kind of an oddity in herself. She could read palms, and she was quite psychic. And I would always sit with her and talk with her. We wouldn't talk about psychic things, we just talked. But one day she looked at me and she said, "You're going to save 3 people from dying." And I said, "Oh yeah, how?" And she says, "They're going to be trying to commit suicide." I said, "Oh, well, I'll watch for that." And then she talked about a final love in my life that was going to be an explosion. Well, that happened. Don't know what the end of that story is. But there's signs that you have long before they happen. But I knew that my nervous system was capable of taking it. Even though I felt like I was so overwhelmed that at times I was going to pass out just from the thoughts in my head, you know in the back of your mind that even before you find out that you have signed on for this, you know in the back of your mind that whatever is coming, I feel crazy, but I'm getting through each day. And as I got through each day and was able to go to sleep and wake up for another day, I thought, that's one less day that I'm here. And I just kept talking to myself. it's just an overload. You can't pick it apart and talk about any one part of it. You can, and I will as I go. But when I was in that position, I wish somebody had been able to come forward and say, cut yourself some slack. You've just had something that the body shouldn't ever have in it. You had lightning hit your body, and you're coming out the other side, but first you have to go through it. And there's more than one thing happening. It's not romantic. It wasn't for me. Of course, I was in the obsessive thoughts, but it was no means romantic. I never want to have a romance like that again. I'll stay single the rest of my life than have to go through that again. That was horrible. And to me, at the time, I saw no purpose. I thought, you could have had somebody come into my life and hand them to me on a silver platter, and I would have loved them very deeply, but I didn't know that I was on a journey of awakening. I didn't even know that there was such a thing as an awakening. I remember when I was in my 20s thinking, wish I could be all-knowing. I wish I was like a sage. All these things I struggle to understand. I wish I just knew them all. Well, be careful what you wish for, because one day you might get hit by lightning and start to know a lot more. A lot more things that you thought you could do without. So, keep this in mind if you're struggling out there. There's a lot of things going on, and it's all affecting your sense of stability, security, and such. And you will come out the other side, but in the meantime, those signals that are going to your brain are not true, but they are true because it's bringing it up in you, so that part is true. And you're to tackle that, and you will, because the only one, that's what, those lower chakras are what give us our sense of stability and safety and foundation. Because when they're out or blocked, you do not feel safe. So you're going to be a people pleaser. You're not going to speak up. You're going to hold your tongue. That's affecting your throat chakra as well. When you think about it, almost everything was blocked, but you didn't know it. I thought I was doing really well. So you have a lot of anxiety and fears that are subconscious. You don't even really realize it. When I think back to how I operated within my family unit, because they were very toxic. They wouldn't think so, but they were. There were subconscious fears of, you didn't dare speak about somebody in the family because that person that you said it to would go directly to the one that you spoke about and tell them. And then you got them gunning for you. And meanwhile, that one that you spoke to was telling you things about them, which led to you responding with yours. But it didn't matter that they had said something. They took your words to them. This went on all the time. The triangulation and the backstabbing and the double standards and just, it was, you were walking on eggshells that were on fire at all times. And I got really tired. I finally outgrew putting out fires that weren't mine to put out. I didn't start the fires. So when you're going through that first part of the healing, you don't know what you're battling against. It's a war against something you don't even know exists. It comes up for you every day, and as you're going, every single day and every single minute, you're moving minutely forward. But it's such slow progress that you get really discouraged with yourself because you want to see some change. You want to have some relief. You just want peace. And you eventually get it because eventually the energy passes through those chakras, through the vagus nerve, and it calms down, and you end up looking around and you think, I've got peace. And when that happened, when I realized that I could stop looking over my shoulder and waiting for something more to happen, and I was feeling peace, immediately your thoughts go to your twin and you think, well, I wonder how they're doing, if this is affecting them. And right away my brain went, I don't care. Right now, I don't care. I just want this peace. I deserve this. And I've been through hell, and I'm going to hold on to this peace. they're going to deal with their own stuff. For a little while there, I was so selfish because I was coming out of survival mode and I just wanted to lay down flat and have a nice long nap that lasted for a few years, because your sleep is disturbed during that time too, by the way. Your sleep, everything. I was afraid to leave the house for a long time. Thankfully, I didn't have to because I'm retired and I could do whatever I wanted, but I went out and got groceries and that was about it. I was in COVID mode before COVID happened. Because I didn't trust myself when I went out. I didn't trust my nervous system to back me up because it was so destabilized. I couldn't ask it to back me up for reading situations correctly, reacting to situations correctly, for leaving a situation in a healthy manner. I just didn't trust myself. I had to pass through that and eventually rebuild and gain the trust that I have now, and I have ultimate trust in myself now. I have no doubt that I can handle anything. I could have somebody walk in my door and say so-and-so that used to be close to me has just passed away, and I'd say, well, I'm sorry to hear that, because I don't have anyone left in my life that I'm close to. I can honestly say that. I've left them all behind. Family, friends, and I'm okay with that, because that was the steps. I left behind what didn't serve me, and what I'm left with is what does serve me, and that is me and my stability and my energy and my foundation inside. Everything's all, I'm sure there's more clearing to go and still more things to go, but I'm not feeling bothered by it. So I hope that helps somebody, just giving that information. If you're sitting in this, I don't know who's being activated and where they're at, but there's got to be people out there that are still in those stages. So I hope it helps somebody. Okay, stay strong. You're going to get through this. We all do. And you come into a really beautiful place, so stick with it. Stick with it. And if you ever need somebody to talk to, reach out to people in the world, because there are a lot of people. Ask the ones above, but ask people in the world. Go into the forums. Go into the forums and read. If it feels better to vent, because you can always go back and delete. There's nothing that can't be undone. But go in and read. I was on Quora for a while, reading about other people's. I wanted to find out what this was about, because all I had was my experience. So I went on and I read all about other people, what they were experiencing. And then I got off of it because I felt that it was influencing me. And I wanted to minimize any outward influences on me. Because when you're very impressionable at that stage too. So you can get caught up in a narrative that's being passed around, or a belief. Some people believe this or believe that and believe that and believe that. And not all of them are healthy beliefs that are out there in the twin flame community. So I got out of it. All my stuff is still on there, but I just had to get away. I needed to have complete seclusion, I felt, of just me, the input I was getting from above, meshing with me, and I use YouTube because I canceled my cable vision. So I've got that, and it seems like the help I get from above comes through there beautifully, because when I have questions, I'll take questions to bed with me, and when I get up in the morning, I turn the TV on, and there's the video that answers the questions. Thank you. I've said thank you to them so many times because they just dish it up, and I don't know if I'm doing it. But anyway, so I hope this helps. It's information that I don't see out there. I don't see people talking about what the physical things that we're going through. Everybody talks about the energy and they talk about it like it's a big romantic thing. And when you're going through that stage, it's not romantic at all. It's hard. It's very difficult. So thanks for listening. I'll be back to vent about something else soon, I'm sure. Take care. Talk to you later. Bye.